The plane touched down at Incheon International Airport, and Amara's hands trembled as she gripped her passport. This was insane. Absolutely insane. 3 days ago, she was hiding in her cousin's apartment in Lagos, dodging phone calls and praying her face wouldn't show up on the evening news. Now she was stepping into Seoul, South Korea, about to pretend to be the girlfriend of a man she'd never met, all for $50,000 and a chance to disappear. The moment she cleared customs, chaos erupted. Camera flashes exploded in her face like lightning. Reporters shouted questions in rapid Korean, microphones thrust toward her from every direction. She froze, her heart hammering against her ribs, completely unprepared for this ambush. Then a hand closed firmly around hers, warm, steady, possessive. She turned and her breath caught. The man beside her was devastatingly handsome, tall with sharp cheekbones, dark eyes that revealed nothing, and an expensive charcoal suit that fit him like it was painted on. His face was everywhere on the screens behind them, she realized. Kang, CEO of Stellar Communications, and for the next month, her fake boyfriend. Smile, he whispered in English, his voice low and commanding. They're watching. Before she could respond, he pulled her close and pressed his lips to her temple. The cameras went wild. Amara's mind went blank. This wasn't part of the plan. At least not the plan his assistant had explained over video call. Mr. Kang, is this your new girlfriend? A reporter shouted in English. Mr. Kang, what about Min Sarah? Have you moved on? At the mention of that name, Amara felt Jisoo's entire body tense beside her. His grip on her hand tightened almost painfully. My personal life is my own business, Jisoo said coolly in Korean, then switched to English. This is Amara. She's very special to me. Now if you'll excuse us. He guided her through the crowd with practiced ease, his security team forming a barrier around them. Amara's legs felt like jelly, but she forced herself to walk steadily, keeping her chin up even though every instinct screamed at her to run. Once they were safely in the back of a black Mercedes, the partition rose between them and the driver. Jisoo released her hand immediately and shifted to the far side of the seat, pulling out his phone. What the hell was that? Amara demanded, her accent thick with anger and adrenaline. Your assistant said this would be discreet, low-key. That was a circus. Plans changed, Jisoo said without looking up from his screen. Sarah found out you were coming. She tipped off the media. Sarah? Your ex? My ex-fiancé, he corrected, his tone flat and emotionless. The woman who left me at the altar 8 months ago to run off with actor Park Min-ho. It was the biggest scandal of the year. She destroyed my reputation, made me look like a fool in front of the entire country. Amara studied his profile. His jaw was clenched, tight, a muscle ticking near his temple. Whatever he felt about this Sarah woman, it wasn't indifference. So this is revenge, she said quietly. This is strategy, he replied. Sarah's career has been declining. Park Min-ho dumped her last month. Now she wants to come back, wants to reconcile, wants the public to see her as the victim who made a mistake. I won't allow it. And I'm your weapon. Finally, he looked at her, really looked at her. His dark eyes traveled over her face, assessing, calculating. You're my statement. When the world sees me with someone like you, someone unexpected, someone who doesn't fit their narrow expectations, it sends a message. I've moved on. I'm not the pathetic abandoned groom anymore. Someone like you. The words stung, even though Amara had known exactly what this arrangement was from the beginning. The contract was clear, she said, forcing her voice to stay steady. 1 month. Public appearances as needed. Separate rooms. No actual relationship. And $50,000 wired to my account in 2 installments. $25,000 has already been transferred, Jisoo confirmed. You'll receive the rest when the month is complete, assuming you fulfill your obligations. Which are: convince everyone we're in love, make Sarah believe she lost something irreplaceable, and don't embarrass me. He returned his attention to his phone, effectively dismissing her. Amara turned to stare out the window at the Seoul skyline glittering in the evening light. What had she gotten herself into? If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit that like button and let me know in the comments what you think of Amara's decision. Would you take this deal? The apartment Jisoo provided was stunning. A luxury penthouse in Gangnam with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Han River. It was easily 10 times nicer than anywhere Amara had ever lived, but it felt like a beautiful cage. Your room is down that hall, Jisoo said, pointing left. Mine is opposite. We won't see much of each other when we're here. My assistant will send you a schedule of appearances. Learn it. Memorize details about me. We need to seem believable. Wait, Amara called as he started to leave. Can I at least know why you chose me? Out of everyone you could have hired for this. Why a graphic designer from Lagos? Jisoo paused, his back to her. For a long moment, he didn't answer. Then he said, because you needed to disappear. And I needed someone who had no connection to my world. Someone unexpected enough to make a statement. It was mutually beneficial. He knew. Somehow he knew about the scandal she was running from. About the creative director who had stolen her designs and tried to ruin her reputation when she confronted him. About the lawsuit she couldn't afford to fight. How much do you know? She asked quietly. Enough, he replied. Don't worry, your secret is safe, as long as you keep mine. Then he was gone, disappearing into his room and leaving Amara alone in this gorgeous, empty apartment, wondering if she'd just made a deal with the devil. The first week passed in a blur of carefully orchestrated moments. Dinner at exclusive restaurants where photographers just happened to be nearby. A visit to Jisoo's office where she played the supportive girlfriend, bringing him lunch and kissing his cheek for the cameras. A casual stroll through Cheonggyecheon Stream, hand in hand, while tourists snapped photos. Jisoo was a professional at this game. He knew exactly when to smile, when to touch her lower back, when to lean in close and whisper something that looked intimate, but was actually him telling her to adjust her posture or reminding her about an upcoming event. You're doing well, he told her one evening as they returned to the apartment. Better than I expected. I'm a good actress, Amara replied, kicking off the painful heels she'd been wearing all day. Had to be, growing up where I did. Lagos, Jisoo said, surprising her. Tell me about it. They were in the kitchen now. Jisoo was pouring himself a glass of whiskey, his tie loosened, looking more human than she'd seen him all week. Why do you care? Amara asked, genuinely curious. I don't, he said bluntly. But if someone asks you about your background, you should have an answer ready, and I should know enough to corroborate your story. Right. Always business with him? I grew up in Surulere, Amara began, leaning against the counter. Middle-class family. My father was a teacher. My mother sold fabrics at Balogan Market. I was the youngest of 4, the only girl. My brothers all thought I was crazy for wanting to be an artist instead of a doctor or lawyer. But you pursued it anyway, Jisoo observed. I did. Got a scholarship to study design at the University of Lagos. Graduated top of my class. Started working at one of the biggest advertising firms in West Africa. Her voice grew quieter. Until my boss stole my campaign designs and claimed them as his own. When I confronted him, he said no one would believe a girl like me over someone with his reputation. He was right. He got promoted. I got blacklisted. Jisoo was watching her intently now, the whiskey forgotten in his hand. That's why you needed to leave. He threatened to sue me for defamation if I kept talking. I had no money for lawyers, no powerful connections. So when your assistant's offer came through an online job posting I'd applied to months ago, it felt like a miracle. A chance to start over somewhere no one knew my name. Except I know your name, Jisoo said softly. And I know what you're running from. Does that make you feel powerful? Amara challenged. Knowing you have leverage over me? No, he replied, and for the first time she heard genuine emotion in his voice. It makes us even. You're running from someone who betrayed you. So am I. The moment stretched between them, heavy with understanding. Then Jisoo's phone buzzed, shattering the intimacy. He glanced at the screen and his expression hardened instantly. We have a problem, he said. Sarah just posted on social media that she's attending the Seoul Business Awards next week, the same event we're attending. She's making her move. Welcome to all the new subscribers joining us. I'm so glad you're here for Amara and Jisoo's journey, and to everyone watching, happy holidays. Now let's see what happens when the ex-fiancé finally makes her appearance. The Seoul Business Awards was held at the Grand Hyatt, a glittering affair where Korea's elite gathered in designer gowns and custom suits. Amara wore a deep emerald dress that Jisoo's stylist had selected, something that complemented her dark skin beautifully and made a statement without trying too hard. Remember, Jisoo murmured as they exited the car, his hand resting possessively on her waist. We're in love. You're captivated by me. I'm captivated by you. Don't let her get to you. Who says she'll get to me? Amara replied with more confidence than she felt. Because she gets to everyone, Jisoo said grimly. The moment they entered the ballroom, heads turned. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Amara held her head high, channeling every ounce of grace her mother had taught her. She was representing more than herself tonight. She was representing every black girl who'd been told she didn't belong in spaces like this. Jisoo! The voice was feminine, bright, and sharp as glass. Amara turned to see a woman gliding toward them, and her breath caught despite herself. Min Sarah was stunning. There was no other word for it. Porcelain skin, delicate features, wearing a white gown that probably cost more than Amara's entire year's salary. She looked like she'd stepped out of a Korean drama, which made sense since she was literally an actress. Sarah, Jisoo said coolly. His arm tightened around Amara's waist. You look well, Sarah said, her eyes flickering over him with something that looked almost like regret. Then her gaze landed on Amara, and the warmth vanished completely. And who is this? This is Amara, Jisoo replied. My girlfriend. Girlfriend, Sarah repeated, as if testing the word. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. How exotic. Where did you two meet? Through work, Amara answered before Jisoo could respond. She wasn't going to let this woman talk about her like she wasn't standing right there. I'm a designer. Jisoo hired my firm for a campaign. A designer, Sarah echoed. How creative. The condescension dripped from every syllable. Sarah, we were just heading to our table, Jisoo said, clearly trying to end the conversation. Of course, Sarah replied sweetly. We'll talk more later, I'm sure. After all, Jisoo and I have so much history. 8 years together doesn't just disappear, does it? She floated away, leaving a cloud of expensive perfume and tension in her wake. I hate her already, Amara muttered. Good, Jisoo said. Use that. We need to make her believe this is real. Throughout dinner, Amara felt Sarah's eyes on them constantly. Every time Jisoo leaned close to speak to her, every time Amara laughed at something he said, she could feel the other woman's gaze burning into them. It was unnerving and oddly thrilling at the same time. You're doing great, Jisoo whispered during dessert. She's watching our every move. I can feel it, Amara replied. She looks like she wants to murder me with her soup spoon. Jisoo's lip twitched, almost like he wanted to smile. She probably does. After dinner, as people mingled and networked, Sarah made her move. She approached their table with a glass of champagne in hand and that same plastic smile. Amara, is it? I was hoping we could chat. Woman to woman, Sarah said. Would you mind if I borrowed her for a moment, Jisoo? It wasn't really a question. Before Jisoo could object, Sarah had linked her arm through Amara's and was steering her toward the balcony. Once they were alone in the cool night air, Sarah's pleasant facade dropped completely. Let me be very clear, Sarah said, her voice low and dangerous. Whatever Jisoo is paying you for this little performance, I'll double it. Walk away now, and you'll be richer than you ever dreamed. Amara's heart raced, but she kept her expression neutral. I'm not doing this for money. Don't insult my intelligence, Sarah snapped. Girls like you always have a price. What is it? 100,000? 200? Name it. Girls like me? Amara repeated, her voice going cold. You mean black girls? Poor girls? Girls who don't fit your perfect Korean beauty standards? Sarah's eyes flashed. I mean gold diggers who see a vulnerable man and pounce. Jisoo and I are meant to be together. We built something over 8 years. You've known him for what? A few weeks? You're nothing but a distraction. If you're so confident, you're meant to be together, Amara said quietly. Why are you so threatened by a distraction? Sarah's face contorted with fury. You have no idea who you're dealing with. I can destroy you with a single phone call. I can make sure you never work in this country again. I can make your life a living hell. You can try, Amara replied, surprising herself with her own courage. But I'm not some fragile doll you can break. I've survived worse than you. Trust me. She turned to walk back inside, but Sarah grabbed her arm hard enough to bruise. He'll never love you, Sarah hissed. He's still in love with me. He'll always be in love with me. You're just a tool he's using to make me jealous, and when he's done with you, he'll toss you aside like garbage. The words hit harder than Amara expected, probably because part of her knew they were true. But she wasn't going to let this woman see that. Maybe, Amara said, pulling her arm free. But at least I'll have the satisfaction of knowing I drove you absolutely crazy first. She walked back into the ballroom with her head high, even though her hands were shaking. Jisoo was there immediately, his eyes searching her face. What did she say to you? He demanded. Nothing I couldn't handle, Amara replied. But Jisoo, she's not going to give up. She's going to escalate. Let her, Jisoo said darkly. I'm ready. But 2 days later, Amara realized neither of them had been ready for what Sarah would do next. She was at the apartment alone when her phone exploded with notifications. Instagram, Twitter, news sites. Her face was everywhere, paired with headlines that made her stomach drop. Who is the mysterious African woman dating Korea's most eligible bachelor? Kang Jisoo's rebound. Everything we know about Amara Johnson. From Lagos to luxury, the Cinderella story or a calculated scheme? Someone had dug into her background. They'd found photos from her university days, her social media, even tracked down people she'd known in Lagos. Worse, they'd found information about the scandal, about the creative director's lawsuit threats, painting her as a disgraced designer running from legal troubles. Amara's phone rang. It was Jisoo. Don't read the articles, he said immediately. Too late, she replied, her voice hollow. She did this, didn't she? Sarah hired someone to investigate me. Yes, Jisoo admitted. My PR team is working on damage control, but Amara, you need to stay inside. The paparazzi are camped outside our building. This wasn't part of the deal, Amara said, trying to keep the panic from her voice. You said this would be controlled. You said I'd be safe. I know. I'm sorry. I underestimated how far she'd go. Your apology doesn't fix this, Amara shouted, finally losing her composure. My face is everywhere. My past is everywhere. I came here to escape this kind of attention, and now it's 10 times worse. Amara, I want out, she said. Keep the money. I'll find another way. I can't do this anymore. There was a long silence on the other end. Then Jisoo said, his voice tight, I'll be home in 20 minutes. Don't make any decisions until we talk. Please. He'd never said please to her before. When Jisoo arrived, he looked different. His tie was gone, his shirt wrinkled, his hair messed up like he'd been running his hands through it repeatedly. He looked, for the first time since she'd met him, completely undone. I'm sorry, he said again, standing in the middle of the living room like he didn't know what to do with himself. You're right. This is my fault. I dragged you into my mess and I didn't protect you properly. No, you didn't, Amara agreed. She was sitting on the couch, hugging a pillow to her chest, feeling more vulnerable than she had in years. If you want to leave, I'll arrange it, Jisoo continued. I'll pay you the full amount. I'll make sure you get somewhere safe where Sarah can't reach you. I'll even have my lawyers send a cease and desist to everyone who published those articles. Why? Amara asked. Why would you do all that? The contract doesn't require it. Jisoo walked closer, then knelt down in front of her so they were eye level. His dark eyes were intense, earnest, stripped of all their usual guardedness. Because you don't deserve this, he said quietly. Because you were brave enough to start over in a foreign country, and I used that desperation against you. Because somewhere over the past 2 weeks, I stopped seeing you as just a contract and started seeing you as a person. As someone who makes me laugh when I thought I'd forgotten how. As someone who challenges me instead of just agreeing with everything I say. As someone who might actually understand what it feels like to be betrayed by people who were supposed to protect you. Amara's breath caught. This was the most honest he'd been since the moment they met. I don't want to leave, she admitted. I want to stay. I want to finish this, but not just because of the money anymore. Then why? Jisoo asked. Because I refuse to let her win, Amara said fiercely. Because I'm tired of running, and because maybe, just maybe, I want to see where this goes when it's not just pretend. Something shifted in Jisoo's expression. Hope, maybe, or fear, or both. If you stay, he said carefully, we do this my way. No more half measures, we go all in. We make this so convincing that even we start to believe it. That's dangerous, Amara whispered. I know, Jisoo replied, but I think we're both tired of playing it safe. He reached up and gently tucked a curl behind her ear, his fingers lingering against her cheek. Amara's heart raced. This wasn't for the cameras. There was no one watching. This was just them. Okay, she breathed. All in? Drop a comment below and tell me if you think they're making a mistake, or if this is exactly what they both need. And don't forget to subscribe, so you don't miss what happens next, because trust me, it gets even more intense. The next morning, Jisoo made an announcement that shocked everyone. He was bringing Amara to meet his family. Are you insane? Amara asked when he told her. Your family? That's not part of the contract. It is now, Jisoo said firmly. Sarah will be expecting me to hide you after the scandal. Instead, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to show everyone that I'm serious about you, that you're important enough to introduce to my family. And what if your family hates me? Amara asked, anxiety creeping into her voice. They probably will, Jisoo admitted. My parents are very traditional. They wanted me to marry Sarah because she came from the right family, had the right background. You're going to represent everything they fear. Great pep talk, Amara muttered. But Jisoo took her hand, his grip warm and reassuring. My grandmother will love you, though, and in my family, Halmione's opinion is the only one that really matters. The Kang family estate was in Seongbuk-dong, one of Seoul's most prestigious neighborhoods. The traditional Hanok house was enormous, beautifully maintained, with gardens that probably cost more to upkeep than most people's houses. Amara felt completely out of her depth as they walked through the entrance, removing their shoes and replacing them with house slippers. Jisoo's parents were waiting in the formal sitting room, his mother in an elegant hanbok, his father in a Western suit. They looked at Amara with expressions that ranged from shock to poorly concealed disapproval. Mother, father, Jisoo said in Korean, then switched to English. This is Amara. Amara, my parents. It's an honor to meet you, Amara said, bowing the way Jisoo had taught her. Thank you for welcoming me into your home. Jisoo's mother, Mrs. Kang, gave a tight smile. You speak English, she observed. Yes, ma'am. I'm learning Korean, but I'm not fluent yet. I see, Mrs. Kang replied, in a tone that suggested she saw quite a lot. None of it good. The afternoon was excruciating. Every question felt like an interrogation. Where was she from? What did her parents do? What were her intentions with their son? Amara answered as honestly as she could, while Jisoo sat beside her, his jaw tight with tension. Then the door slid open, and an elderly woman entered, small and slight, but radiating authority. Everyone immediately stood and bowed. This had to be the grandmother. Halmione surveyed the room with sharp, intelligent eyes that missed nothing. When her gaze landed on Amara, she studied her for a long moment. Then, to everyone's shock, she smiled. Come here, child, Halmione said in Korean. Jisoo quickly translated. Amara approached nervously, and the old woman took both her hands, examining them with the same intensity she'd examined her face. Good hands, Halmione declared. Strong hands, working hands. She looked up at Amara. You're not soft, like that actress girl. You have substance, character. Thank you, Halmione, Amara said, even though she wasn't sure she fully understood. You, Halmione said, turning to Jisoo and speaking rapidly in Korean. He replied, his tone respectful but firm. The conversation went back and forth, clearly a debate of some kind. Jisoo's parents interjected a few times, but Halmione silenced them with a single look. Finally, Halmione turned back to Amara and spoke in halting English. You make my grandson happy? Amara glanced at Jisoo, who was watching her intently. She thought about the past 2 weeks, about the moments when his guard dropped, when he laughed at her terrible Korean pronunciation, or when he unconsciously reached for her hand even when no cameras were around. I try to, Amara said honestly, and he makes me happy too. Halmione nodded, satisfied. Then she did something completely unexpected. She removed a jade bracelet from her own wrist and placed it on Amara's. In our family, Halmione said carefully in English, this bracelet passes to the woman who will be family. My mother gave to me. I give to you. The room went dead silent. Jisoo's mother looked like she might faint. His father's face had gone completely rigid. Halmione, Jisoo started, clearly shocked. Are you sure? I am old, not blind, Halmione replied in Korean. Jisoo translated for Amara. She says she sees how you look at each other. She says real love doesn't follow rules or expectations. It just is. Amara felt tears prick her eyes. This wasn't supposed to be real. This was supposed to be a contract, a performance. But this old woman had seen something true in both of them, something they'd been too afraid to acknowledge themselves. Thank you, Amara whispered, touching the bracelet reverently. I'll treasure it. As they left the estate hours later, Jisoo was unusually quiet. They were back in the car, the partition up, before he finally spoke. My grandmother has never been wrong about people, he said. Not once in 86 years. What are you saying? Amara asked, though her heart already knew. I'm saying this stopped being fake for me weeks ago, Jisoo admitted, turning to face her. Maybe it was never fake at all. Maybe I just told myself it was because I was too afraid to risk my heart again. Jisoo, I know this complicates everything, he continued. I know we agreed this was just business. But Amara, when I thought you might leave, when I saw how hurt you were by those articles, I realized I don't want this to end in a month. I don't want you to be my fake girlfriend anymore. What do you want? Amara asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I want you to be my real girlfriend, Jisoo said. No contract, no money, just us, figuring this out together. If you'll have me. Amara thought about everything that had happened, about how this man had gone from cold and distant to someone who made her feel seen, valued, protected. She thought about the risk, about how spectacularly this could blow up in both their faces. And then she thought about her grandmother back in Lagos, who always said the biggest risk was never risking anything at all. Okay, she said, a smile breaking across her face. Okay, let's be real. Jisoo's answering smile was breathtaking. He reached for her hand, lacing their fingers together, and this time there was no pretense. This was real. This was them. But of course, Sarah wasn't done yet. The photos appeared 3 days later. Pictures of Park Min-ho, Sarah's actor ex, kissing another woman at a club. The woman was young, beautiful, and very publicly pregnant with his child. The scandal exploded across Korean media, and suddenly everyone remembered that Sarah had left Jisoo for this man, this cheater who'd been playing her the entire time. Public opinion shifted overnight. Sarah went from sympathetic ex to cautionary tale. Jisoo went from abandoned groom to the man who dodged a bullet. And Amara, suddenly, was being praised as the fresh start he deserved. Sarah's carefully constructed comeback crumbled. Brands dropped her. Her agency put her on indefinite hiatus. She'd played her hand too aggressively and lost everything. Jisoo received a text from her one evening while he and Amara were cooking dinner together, something that had become their ritual. He showed it to Amara. I made a mistake. I know that now. I'm sorry for everything. Could we at least talk? What are you going to do? Amara asked, trying to keep her voice neutral even though her heart was racing. Jisoo looked at the message for a long moment. Then he deleted it and set his phone down. Nothing, he said. There's nothing left to say. She made her choice. I've made mine. He pulled Amara into his arms, resting his chin on top of her head. You know what's funny? I hired you to make her jealous, to show her what she lost. But somewhere along the way, I forgot all about her. All I could see was you. That's pretty smooth, Amara teased, even though her eyes were watering. Did you practice that? Maybe a little, Jisoo admitted with a laugh. Too much? No, Amara said, tilting her face up to kiss him properly. It was perfect. 6 months later, Amara stood in the office of her new design studio in Seoul, looking out at the city she now called home. Her business was thriving, her visa secured, her reputation rebuilt. The lawsuit from Lagos had been settled with Jisoo's lawyer's help, her former boss thoroughly discredited when other employees came forward with similar stories. Jisoo entered carrying 2 cups of coffee, now a daily routine before his morning meetings. Your grandmother called, Amara said. She wants us to come for dinner on Sunday. Something about needing to discuss wedding traditions. We're not even engaged yet, Jisoo pointed out, setting down the coffee and wrapping his arms around her waist from behind. Yet, Amara repeated, turning to face him with a raised eyebrow. That's presumptuous of you? Is it? Jisoo asked, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. Because I've been carrying this around for 2 weeks, waiting for the right moment. But then I realized every moment with you is the right moment. Amara's hands flew to her mouth, as he opened the box to reveal a stunning ring, emerald to match the dress she'd worn the night they'd first confronted Sarah together. "Amara Johnson," Jisoo said, his voice thick with emotion. "You flew across the world on a crazy contract with a stranger. You faced down my horrible ex, won over my traditional family, survived a media scandal, and somehow, impossibly, made me believe in love again. Will you marry me? For real this time?" "Yes," Amara said through happy tears. "Yes. Absolutely yes." As Jisoo slid the ring onto her finger, right above his grandmother's jade bracelet, Amara thought about how far she'd come. From hiding in Lagos to building a life in Seoul. From a fake relationship to the most real love she'd ever known. From running away to finally running toward something, toward someone. "What are you thinking?" Jisoo asked, wiping away her tears with his thumbs. "I'm thinking," Amara said, "that this is the best business deal I ever made." Jisoo laughed, that full, unguarded laugh she'd worked so hard to earn. "Same," he said, "definitely the best $50,000 I ever spent." "Hey," Amara protested, swatting his arm, "I earned way more than 50,000. "You did," Jisoo agreed, suddenly serious. "You earned everything. My trust, my heart, my future. I love you, Amara." "I love you too," she replied, and kissed the man who'd started as her employer, became her fake boyfriend, and ended up being her forever. So what did you think? Did this story keep you glued to the screen? Let me know in the comments which part was your favorite. Was it when Halmione gave Amara the bracelet? When Jisoo finally confessed his real feelings? Or that perfect proposal at the end? Drop your thoughts below, smash that like button, and if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? There are so many more amazing stories coming your way. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, sometimes the craziest leaps of faith lead to the most beautiful landings. See you in the next story.